Greetings everyone. In this video I want to talk about traveling to another country and getting married in order to be able to stay there.
Greetings! This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
Choices. Choices, choices, choices. Are you making beneficial choices for yourself? Now, I spoke in some previous videos about moving to another country or traveling and outside of your country. But if you want to live long-term in another country, you either have to have the money to be able to buy the visa to stay there, or you have to be of a retirement age and have money, or you have to travel around. And many, and I will say probably more often men, are choosing to try to marrying a local to be able to have long-term residency or being able to live in that country because they're married to a local. And this is never, ever, ever really a beneficial choice. It's not beneficial for any source player in this day to get married to anyone. Okay? But now, you can have a relationship without papers, and it's by consent. You know, your relationships are always by consent. It takes the consent of both people to make a relationship work, and both people have to work at it. It's not a one-way street, or at least it certainly shouldn't be. Now, specifically going to a foreign country and marrying a local, what is your reason for that? You're a different culture. Different cultures think differently. They have different expectations. They do things differently. They even have religious upbringings that are totally different than yours, and religion should not be in any source player's game right now. That's the lower frequency. That's the red zone if you're involved in religion. You have to ask why. Why? If you are simply marrying someone for, okay, the obvious reason is sex. And for some it might be someone to cook their food and do their laundry and warm them up in bed or have an interaction and relationship with. And as in some cases, some people will marry someone for them to be their meal ticket because they'll be a provider for them. And it takes the weight off of them so that they do domestic, and the other person is responsible for generating the currency within their household. There are always trade-offs. There are always trade-offs. Some of you need to examine your motives behind why you are choosing the relationships that you're choosing, and why you think you need to marry a local in another country in order to be able to stay there long term. Now, most of you aren't even aware of the laws within that country. You are barely, you don't fully make yourself aware of anything. You simply go and you do what you feel you need to do to be able to stay someplace in a longer term. Now, what if you want to leave that country and take that wife with you? Well, you can always return probably to your own home country, but although some home countries are now determining that those people you marry abroad won't be accepted. What are you doing? What's the long-term consequences to your choice door that you've opened? Were you supposed to marry that person to start with? Was it part of your script? Did you go outside of your script and you're making choices that don't benefit you? Some of you are going abroad and living with members of the opposite sex, and you don't even know your own home country's laws that say that even if you go in another country and you live with someone of the opposite sex for a certain length of time, they can tap into your wealth or your properties in your home country. You're totally ignorant. You haven't done the research. You're maybe thinking with the wrong head, or with manipulation in mind, or accomplishing what you want to accomplish out of that union. And you really need to evaluate what you're doing. You need to be aware of what you are doing in all senses of the situation. Just because you hear other people doing certain things and it worked out well for them, well, that's them. That's not you. That's not you. And in many cases, it's soulless ones, and they're putting it out there so you fall into the same trap or the same problem. Now, if you have made a mistake, you have made a non-beneficial choice by getting married and sticking yourself on an island or in a country, and are experiencing the scrutiny and the consequences of your choice of marrying a local, because when you marry them, everything changes. Your responsibilities change towards that person and their family and the community. And you as a foreigner are viewed differently than locals are. It's a choice you have to make for yourself. And then you get to live with the choices. Now, does that mean that you have to stay in that relationship? You have to stay there. You can always leave unless you have done something that really links you to that place and you won't be able to leave. But again, these are all choices. They're all choices. You can change. You can change your experience. You can change your experience. Many of you have made choices before you ever became aware of the consequences of those choices without fully doing research and being aware of the price that would be involved. Now, if your source self is telling you to leave someplace, you married somebody you shouldn't have married, for whatever reasons that you married them. Was it really love, or was it something else? What's love got to do with it? We call love because it sounds good, but what's love really got to do with it? And what is love? Cause and effect choices. Now, if you made a choice to go to some other country and marry someone, and in order to be able to stay and live in a certain country for whatever reason, and you weren't supposed to do that to start with, but you chose that path to do that, and now you feel like you're stuck. You're not stuck unless you create that for yourself. You can always go back home. You could always go to another country. Unless, of course, you have no money, and then I suggest that maybe going back home might be a good idea until you can regain some money and go out again. You know, many of you are experiencing the results, cause and effect, cause you married into a culture of a different country, and the effect of that, and the expectations and the cultural demands because you made that choice. Demands that are put upon you because you made that choice to marry into that culture. Now, it's not hopeless, and you could walk away, potentially. Again, it depends on what country and the culture, whether you can walk away or not. And you have to be okay with it inside, because you have to live with yourself. Again, it's all choices that you've made. Choices that you have made, that you alone must live with. Now, how does that affect you if you're married to a source player? Well, they've made their choices also. It's all part of the game. Make choices that benefit you. And you don't have to be self-sacrificing your life and your future and your experience here for someone else. You need to live your life. And you need to enjoy your life. This isn't a life sentence. Unless you make it one. Unless you make it one. And that's all in how your subconscious views things and how you view things. Because you create your experience here by what you think and how the rules of the game work. So, make choices that benefit you. Make choices that benefit you. You can do this. I know you can. Now, if you find the information that I share in these videos a benefit to you, then it benefits you to say thank you via a gift via PayPal. The link is in the description box below. It is an energy exchange and a frequency unlock and a flow through you that you can accomplish no other way. It is a flow through you. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you.